everybody. I know that it's been strange for everybody considering what's been going on in our world today. Just want to say that, it's been difficult in the sense that I've not made a video because lately I've been making several video lessons for my classes where I teach at Spelman, and so all of my time is dedicated to doing online teaching, preparing for these lessons and grading and so on. So while I have been crafting a lot, I spend a lot of time in my craft room, I have not been videoing anything for this channel, and I want to start doing that again. And another thing is that I have been thinking too about making a lot more books, because I was trying to get to a retreat in the summer and it was cancelled. And then there is another one that's coming up in June that I just don't think I'll be able to afford. Because I tend to do a lot of my writing in the summer. As you guys know, I went to Martha's Vineyard, and I also have been going to Kimbilio, and all of these wonderful experiences, where you leave to write. Because here I tend to do so much crafting and working on my lessons for students, grading, that when it comes to the summertime, that's when I really get into my writing. And since the publication of my book was pushed back because of all of what's been going on to October, then, I realized that I would have more time in the summer to write and to focus on that. I am just trying to do the best that I can, and I know that everybody is, but I think it's also a good opportunity for us to connect, because many of you are also sheltering in place or quarantined or in lockdown because of what's been going on. And I haven't said what it is because apparently YouTube takes down your video if you talk too much about the pandemic. So what I'll do in this video is I want to show you a little bit from my craft room, what I've been doing. I also want to show you my completed March book. I made it from an altered baby book, and it was a great way for me to use up a lot of my scraps, because that drives me crazy. I have 3 boxes of scraps, and I realized that I had said I was only keeping it to 1, but what I did was have a box that has my scraps that come from scrap paper. I have a box that has scraps from tea-dyed paper, and I have a box that has just miscellaneous bigger pieces that I can just use in my junk journals. And so I want to show you what I've done with March. I believe that I started to show you about my bullet journal, but listen, I realized bullet journaling is not for me, because my thing is that I wasn't being efficient. I was making my planners very pretty, very, very crafty, lots of collaging, and I might journal a little thing here or there, but I wasn't writing to-do lists like that. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to try this bullet journal. I'm going to track my blood sugar. I'm going to track my writing and walking and exercising. And for a while I did that, but it didn't last. And so maybe what I need to do is incorporate more of my collage into bullet journaling, because one was so full of all of this artistic energy and one was so stark that I was striving to use one for creative expression and one for efficiency. But I think I need to meet somewhere in the middle so that I can be a lot more efficient and also have fun doing it, because I sort of fell off. And I'm going to go back and update it and show you what I've done. But I know that the way that they say you should bullet journal, it's just not for me. But even though, I don't know that they say that there is only one way to bullet journal, because I've started to watch Amity Bloom videos again. and I saw her create a junk journal, bullet journal, and that seemed to work for her. So maybe I'll try that, where I'm not so stark. I mean, one thing that has been consistent has been my writing log, and I completed all these entries about my writing, and I've talked a little bit about life in there as well. And so it took the place of having a personal journal, but I really do want to have a personal journal where I can share my deeper thoughts. But my writing log has been something I've been doing from 2013, and very, very proud of myself. I am now moving into a new journal, which is volume 9. So before I show you my latest project, I wanted to show you what I've done before, because I've been doing a lot of transformations and not recording them. Because sometimes it can be so tedious to do this, and sometimes I forget. I just do it really quickly and oh, I should have recorded that. So I'll just show you like everything here at the top. Like I've put my plants back outside since it's gotten warmer. And so I've put like some decoration on the top here, but also functional. So I got this at the thrift store as is, this as well, and I thought it just fit in with the decor. This was just a basic container that had some Thanksgiving words on the spine, but I didn't want it to be very season oriented, so I got this tablecloth material, because sometimes I love to get fabric at the thrift store because you never know what you'll find, and they have some very interesting designs. And so I didn't sew anything but the buttons. So what I did was I folded over the rugged edges, glued it down, then I sewed on a button on one side, and then I made sure to measure it before I glued it down to make sure it would fit, and then just glued it all the way around. It came with this burlap kind of string, and I knew I would use it to keep stuff like my paintbrushes. This was a Project Life box, and I don't ever throw them out because you can see this was a Project Life box, because it has this feature where you just open it and you can keep stuff in here. So I keep my larger scraps in here. And so to make it pretty, I just glued down the same material here, and it had this finishing because it was a tablecloth, so I made sure to put the edges here. I had to cut this side because, as you know, it's just a square, so I had to cut this side on the other side of the tablecloth and put this so it would match as well. I will be doing online teaching, so the funny thing is that I have my laptop here that I'll be using, and I tend to use my desktop for craftings. I don't know, it's just maybe how my brain is wired, but when I have my laptop I do a lot more writing and a lot more research oriented stuff. When I'm in here, I tend to watch just a bunch of craft oriented YouTube, Netflix kind of things, because that's what I do while I work. So I know I had to use my laptop when it is for online writing and anything else, right? And you remember the last project I made was down there. Sometimes I just wheel it out, pull what I want, wheel it back. It's so useful. And I got this at the thrift store that I wanted to use on a book cover, but I opened it out and I saw it was sort of tapestry. And so I thought, I'm going to put it better, because right now it's just taped to the wall, and I put a thumbtack on this cork board, but I just wanted to see it from afar, and I thought, that's so cute, I'm going to leave it up for now, right? And so I have a bunch of projects too that's going, like all of these are ready to have signatures, and these I just took out the pages, and some that I keep the insides for paper I keep down there. And I tea-dyed a bunch of paper, so being home I did a lot more stuff where I tea-dyed them, and then I press them with the iron. I usually just put them under a heavy book, but I found that like steam ironing them also makes them nice and flat. And here I do have, this is where I put my fabric that I get from the thrift store. And I just tea dyed a bunch, well, not tea dyed, I made a bunch of these envelopes. I used avocado skin so that it would be pink, because this was something I got from the thrift store recently, like a bunch of white envelopes, and you know that I love like the vintage stuff, so I just went ahead and tea dyed all of them. I tea dyed some and I used avocado skins just to show you. I put like yeah, and so these are the tea dyed ones that I put here. And then I was gonna put the avocado skins ones here, but for right now I put like some signatures that I've started to make over there. Yeah, so this is a nice little space. The only problem with this is that I didn't intend to have a bed in my craft room, but because it's a 2-bedroom, I decided that I would have to have a guest bed for when family came over. But anytime I have a bed in a room that I work, I'm always tempted to go lie down for a bit. So it's gonna be a challenge for me, I have to say, to work in here, to do academic work, because I only do academic stuff in the office at work. And even when I'm not teaching, I go there sometimes if I have a paper to write or whatever, or if I have to do grading. So it's been an adjustment, and I know that it's a small price to pay when people are dying from this, and especially since I also have a situation where I'm susceptible. So I say, you know what? I'm just gonna make it work. Okay. All right, so I was excited to see this. It was like, they sold it for like 69 cents at Goodwill. So my thing is that I try to get fabric that I know would look good with my aesthetic and with the kinds of journals that I make. And so this is the tablecloth that I've been using for those projects. There was one, this one had like squares of animals, and I've been cutting out the animals and then gluing them onto different book covers, you know. And I love this with the white leaves, and this is one of my favorites too. But this one, I saw this and I was like, this just screams vintage. Isn't that cute? And this one as well, I've been using a lot of, because it's like, it looks kind of like embroidery, but it's not. Yeah. So I've been pretty lucky with fabric. When I go to the thrift store, I see a lot of interesting stuff. There are other things that I see that I say to myself, are you gonna use it? And if I'm not gonna use it, I just don't buy it, because I am never going to be in that category of hoarder who is like, oh, one day I'll use it. No, if I know I'm not gonna use it, I'm not buying it, right? So I had a lot of fun making this because I converted what was a baby book that had all of these interesting animal drawings in it. So I'll just flip through. I do have my populated March calendar in another book, and I'm just going to put the information in here. I always forget to do that, which is what I was saying about sometimes it doesn't help with efficiency to do things this way, because it's more so about creative, artistic outlet than it is about being productive. So that's why I kind of have separate books for that, and I'm trying to merge two ideas together. I have these watercolor papers in here because I figured I would force myself to do drawings every day. That didn't work out, but I can always go back to it because I do have different squares in here. And I use a lot of scraps in here, so it was a great way to use scraps from different places and just collage them together. These days I don't remember what happened, so I have this for going back and writing, but because I tend to backtrack when I have these. I want to start my April book today because today is the 1st, but I usually give myself several days before I buckle down with a book. I've been tracking this tree because from the first time I saw it coming in, let's see if I can find where I rested it. Here it is. So it has the white blossoms and the leaves start to come. Then it's fuller, and it was even fuller toward the end of the month when I went outside. It made me happy just to see this tree blooming despite everything. And this is my new writing log because this one has come to an end. And I was gonna put some more pictures behind here. I may do that later because I liked this just the way it was. And that was March. So let me show you the book that I did the same thing with in terms of putting scraps in an altered book. So I did the same thing where I didn't take out anything. I just wrapped the cover, and I'm thinking I should use this for April, since I've already put a lot of floral in here. And it's just, as I was using up my scraps, I just put them down randomly, and to me it looks very pretty. I remember it was a baby book, so I left some of the illustrations. So I want to use this for April, and it has gifts, especially since April is my birth month. So I just have to put pictures now. This is a pocket. King Midas and his daughter. I left the white spaces in case I wanted to do something else with it. So, an image from one of those books I had gotten from the thrift store. I like the fairy image. So if I do 1 day per page, it will take me to the end of April. Yeah, so I love it, and I kept a lot of the images. I don't know if I showed you that with this, but just to show you, there is an image. Kept this image. Here's another one from the book. And I kind of put a frame around this one. So any sort of animal, bunny, most of them I covered up, but I kept a few if I thought it worked with the page. This one was one that I had in my stash, but it could be the same illustrator, but I know it's not. Here, I love this one, the little kittens. Yeah. And this one, I did not always like the rat illustrations, but I like this one, so I kept it. And then of course we have the bunny. So I preserved some of what I really liked about the books. So that's it. Thank you guys so much for sticking around, for watching my video. I hope that you are all safe and healthy. I know that this is a very hard time for a lot of people, very uncertain, but I hope that at least this little video can distract you a little bit from that. I have really had a good time focusing on my crafts as I create my video lessons for my students. Alright guys, so I'll talk to you next time. Please stay safe and walk good.